Picture the scene, the roar of the crowd, golden confetti raining down, and a tearful young woman on stage, having a moment that will change her life forever. In 2024, millions watching Britain's Got Talent thought they were seeing a real life fairy tale. Sydnie Christmas, a humble gym receptionist with a world-class voice, had just been handed a golden buzzer by a visibly moved Amanda Holden. She was the relatable girl next door, the underdog whose raw talent was finally getting its moment in the sun. Her journey, which ended with her winning the show, its cash prize, and a spot at the Royal Variety Performance, was the exact kind of story reality TV is built on. It was emotional, inspiring, and it was exactly the story producers wanted you to see. But what if that was only part of the story? While millions were cheering for the underdog, a crucial detail about Sydnie Christmas's past had been left on the cutting room floor. A detail that, once it came out, would cause a firestorm of controversy and lead thousands of viewers to cry foul. As soon as the glitter settled on her victory, social media blew up. The words fix, fake, and fraud started trending right next to her name. The fairy tale began to crumble, replaced by a much more complicated, and honestly, a much more interesting story. Today, we're revealing the extensive professional career she had long before her big break, exploring the allegations of producer meddling and examining why so many fans called her victory the biggest BGT fix in years. This is what Britain's Got Talent didn't tell you about Sydnie Christmas. To get why there was so much drama, you have to appreciate the perfection of the moment that started it all. It was the season premiere of Britain's Got Talent's 17th season, a TV slot designed to grab the whole country's attention. Onto the stage walks Sydnie Christmas. She's instantly charming, a little nervous, with a bubbly personality. When the judges ask what she does for a living, her answer becomes the foundation of her entire story. She works at a gym on a 0-hour contract. It's the perfect setup. She's not some polished star. She's one of us. A dreamer stuck in a thankless job, just hoping for one shot. She tells the judges she's going to sing Tomorrow from the musical Annie. The camera cuts to Simon Cowell, who lets out a loud, theatrical groan. He famously hates that song. The audience has a little chuckle. The tension builds. Can this unknown gym worker win over the world's toughest judge with a song he can't stand? It's a reality TV classic, and it was played to perfection, and then she sings. The first few notes are soft, almost shy, but then her voice just opens up, and what comes out is staggering. It's not just good, it's phenomenal. A powerful, rich voice that fills every corner of the London Palladium. The judges look genuinely stunned. Alicia Dixon's jaw is on the floor. Bruno Tonioli is on his feet. Simon's cynical scowl melts away, replaced by a look of pure shock and admiration. Before the applause even fades, Amanda Holden, with tears in her eyes, missed the golden buzzer. Confetti explodes from the ceiling as Sydnie collapses to her knees, sobbing with joy. Amanda rushes up to hug her, saying, "That was the most beautiful version of that song I have ever heard in my life." Simon, the guy who groaned just minutes earlier, calls it an 11 out of 10. In that single moment, Sydnie Christmas became the heart of the season. Her story was perfect. The humble gym worker from Kent with a secret, God-given talent. She was the embodiment of the promise that shows like BGT sell, that anyone from anywhere can have their dream come true. Her audition went viral, and she became the clear frontrunner. The public didn't just fall in love with her voice. They fell in love with the story. But that story would soon become the very thing that sparked a massive debate, almost as soon as the golden confetti was swept. Off the stage, the internet's investigators got to work. The triumphant story BGT presented began to show some serious cracks. While the mainstream media was celebrating a new star, a very different conversation was kicking off on social media. It started small. "That voice is way too polished for a gym worker," one person commented. Another tweeted, "She carries herself like a pro, not someone who's never been on a big stage." These whispers turned into a roar as people started digging. What they found felt, to many, like a major betrayal. The accusations flew. Sydnie Christmas is a professional West End performer. This is a fix, read one viral post. She's been performing on cruise ships for years. BGT is lying to us, another pointed out. The word ringer started getting thrown around a pro who enters an amateur contest for an easy win. Fans who'd been swept up in the emotion of her audition now felt like they'd been fooled. They had voted for an underdog, only to find out she was actually a seasoned professional. The backlash wasn't just about her past jobs. It was about what viewers saw as the show's dishonesty. Many felt that producers had deliberately hidden Sydnie's resumed to build a more emotional, more manipulative story. That gym receptionist line was now seen as proof of an intentional lie, a calculated move to manufacture a viral moment and guarantee ratings. Tabloid headlines quickly picked up on the fan anger, splashing phrases like BGT slammed as fixed across their sites. The show's official social media pages were flooded with angry comments. The argument was that the BGT stage should be for genuinely undiscovered talent, not for established performers looking for a fast track to mainstream fame. This controversy cast a shadow over her entire run. No matter how brilliantly she performed, it was all viewed with suspicion. When she sailed through the semifinal and eventually won the whole competition, for the skeptics, it felt less like a fairy tale and more like a foregone conclusion. The dream was shattered, and the story of the humble gym worker was now tangled up with a story of industry plants, producer tricks, and a fan base that felt it had been played for a fool. The Sydnie Christmas that BGT introduced to the world was a relatable amateur. The Sydnie Christmas that existed before the show was a highly trained, deeply experienced professional performer with a resume that many artists would kill for. Her history wasn't a minor detail. It was a decade-long career the show seemed to have conveniently forgotten to mention. Her journey didn't start at a gym. It started at the prestigious D&B Academy of Performing Arts in London, which she graduated from in 2014. From there, she hit the high seas, landing contracts with Royal Caribbean Cruises. Performing on a cruise ship is a grueling job that builds serious professional stamina. She was part of the cast for huge productions, including the musical Grease and the rock opera Starlight Express. These weren't little lounge acts. This was professional theater at sea. After her cruise contracts, she hit a major milestone. In 2016, she made her West End debut in Lazarus, the musical written by the one and only David Bowie. Being in an original London cast for a David Bowie show is a massive professional credit. But her most significant job before BGT was probably her long-term role in Starlight Express in Bochum, Germany. That production is a legend. It's been running in a custom-built theater since 1988. Sydnie was in the cast for years. From 2020 to early 2023, for part of that time, she was a swing, one of the most demanding roles in theater. A swing has to learn 8 or more different roles so they can jump on stage at a moment's notice. It requires incredible skill and versatility. This was the reality, a decade of professional training, performing on land and sea, a West End credit, and a multi-year contract in a major European show. By any definition, she was a seasoned pro. This was a stark contrast to the image of the wide-eyed gym worker. The outrage came from that gap between the story and the truth. Viewers felt they hadn't been told the story of a struggling professional trying to level up her career. They'd been sold a myth of an undiscovered talent. The controversy wasn't just about Sydnie's resume. It was supercharged by a storm of online speculation that her journey wasn't as organic as it looked. As the season went on, the fixed narrative began to form online, with people pointing to clues they believed showed the producer's invisible hand at work, guiding her to victory. One of the biggest claims circulating online was that Sydnie had been scouted by producers long before her audition. The theory went that producers knew about her professional background and had specifically sought her out, making her discovery a moment of manufactured television rather than a genuine surprise. This speculation extended to the audition itself. Social media critics claimed the choice of the song "Tomorrow" was a calculated move. Knowing Simon Cowell's famous dislike for the song, they argued, created a perfect high-drama moment. His groan wasn't spontaneous, the theory went, but a planned part of a script designed to make her performance seem even more triumphant. Furthermore, as the competition progressed, claims of preferential treatment emerged among fan forums. Viewers argued that Sydnie was consistently given the pimp slot, the final performance of the night in both the semifinal and the grand final. This is often seen as a strategic advantage, as that performance is the freshest in the minds of voters. These allegations, which spread like wildfire across social media, painted a picture of a competition that wasn't entirely a level playing field. It's important to state that these are unconfirmed rumors and online speculation. But this narrative of a handpicked winner groomed for victory is what fueled so much of the public's anger. For many, it undermined the very idea of the show as a fair contest, suggesting that the reality in reality TV might be more flexible than they thought, facing a huge backlash and being called a fake. Sydnie Christmas didn't hide. In interviews, she shared her side of the story that didn't deny her past work but put it in a context of struggle and rejection that the fix narrative ignored. It was a plea to understand the harsh reality of being a working artist. She was upfront about her professional history, but she argued that what critics saw as a successful career was, from her perspective, a decade of instability and heartbreak. She described the life of a performer as a soul-destroying cycle of auditions and rejections. For every short-term job she landed, there were countless no's. Having professional credits, she explained, doesn't mean you have a stable career or a steady income. In one candid interview, she revealed that in the 10 years since she graduated, she had only held 4 professional theater jobs. That's not a securely employed West End star. That's a gigging artist. The gym job wasn't a cover story, it was her real life. That 0-hour contract was genuine. After her last contract in Germany ended, she struggled to find work back in the UK and felt her dream was slipping away. She had even started retraining to become a personal trainer as a backup plan. From her point of view, BGT wasn't a cynical career move, it was a last-ditch effort. She said she'd thought about auditioning for years but was always too scared. After a brutal string of rejections, she felt she had nothing left to lose. It was, in her own words, one last hurrah before potentially giving up on her dream for good. Her side of the story really complicates things. She wasn't a fraud trying to trick people. She was a struggling artist who took a huge opportunity. The story the show built around her was the producer's creation, not hers. The backlash, she said, was soul-destroying because it attacked her integrity. Her story shifts the debate. Maybe the problem isn't the contestants, but a TV format that demands a simple rags-to-riches story. Even when the truth is much more complex, winning Britain's Got Talent and the £250,000 prize was obviously life-changing. But it was also just the beginning of a new, complicated chapter. First up was her prize-winning performance for the royal family at the Royal Variety Performance. After that, she hit the ground running. She signed a record deal and, in the autumn of 2024, released her debut album, fittingly titled My Way. The album featured the songs that made her famous on the show, and she quickly announced her first solo UK tour for early 2025. She also returned to her theater roots, starring in a Christmas pantomime production of Sleeping Beauty in late 2024, and in a huge career move, it was announced she would be starring as the iconic villain Cruella de Vil in a 2025 stage production of 101 Dalmatians. But behind all the success, Sydnie has been open about the pressure. She's spoken about the toll the Fix controversy and instant fame took on her mental health, and how she relies on therapy and her family to cope. In a move that shows how grounded she is, she confessed that she put her entire £250,000 prize into a savings account for the future. She even said she still plans to finish the personal training qualification she started before the show. Why? It's good to have something just in case. It's a wise acknowledgement that in the entertainment industry, nothing is guaranteed. The BGT win was a golden ticket, but not a promise of success forever. So, what's the real story? Is it the fairy tale of the gym worker with the golden voice? Or the cynical tale of a TV fix? The truth, like it usually is somewhere in the messy middle. The story Britain's Got Talent sold was definitely manufactured. They simplified a complex life, omitting a decade of professional work to fit their formula. The online allegations of producer meddling show just how much audiences suspect that reality TV is more scripted than we'd like to believe, but to call Sydnie a fraud misses the entire point. She wasn't the one who created the narrative. She was a talented, hardworking, and, by her own account, struggling artist on the verge of giving up. AGT offered her a lifeline, a final shot at the dream she had been chasing for 10 years, and she took it. She played the game and she won. Her story isn't one of deception, but one of resilience. It's the story of what it can take for an artist to finally get a break in today's world. That might not be the simple fairy tale BGT wanted to tell, but it's a much more powerful and much more real story. What do you think? Was Sydnie's win a calculated industry fix, or was it a well-deserved break for a talented professional who had paid her dues? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into the stories TV doesn't always tell you, don't forget to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.